So, hello everybody, and we're going to speak with Mandy Painting today, and we're actually going to look at the Spectrum machine and the settings for Galvanic, basic Galvanic, and I'm going to put it over to Mandy so she can tell us all about how to set the machine up for Galvanic. Okay, Mandy, over to you.
Hello again, Deborah. Yes, so Galvanic. Let's just quickly talk through what Galvanic is. It's a direct current. It is the first current that was ever used for electrolysis for hair removal back in 1875, just to remind you all. This is a current that runs from positive to negative or negative to positive in one direction only. So to make it work, you have to have a circuit. And the red lead on this machine, I'll just show you here, this red lead. Sorry, mine's hiding.
So I've got mine here, Mandy. I'm showing my lead and my bar, my saturator bar.
So we call this the indifferent electrode. And to create the circuit for this current to work, your client must be holding this indifferent electrode in her hand. Now, some people like to cover the electrode with a sponge and soak it in salt water. To be perfectly honest, it's not necessary. Most people have very sweaty hands when they're having electrolysis, which gives you enough salt water on the electrode anyway. Unless they really start to feel sparking in their hands, then yes, do cover it. But it is not 100% necessary. So to use the, sorry, losing my words, the Galvanic, we switch the machine on. And I want you to pulse through the top line until the RF says off.
And I'm seeing lots of things on here as well. Okay, yeah, okay. So that's off, it says off.
Yeah, and then we press the Galvanic button.
Yep, I'm pressing. Yep, that's on. Twice.
And now you've got a reading along the bottom of the delay saying 1 second, which we're going to ignore. The timer says 1 second, and the level of 0.1 milliamps.
Yep, I've seen that. Okay. Yep.
Now with Galvanic, with direct current, this is we're going to produce a chemical reaction within the follicle, and we use the intensity of current to create, and the time it's delivered to create this chemical reaction. We want to create sodium hydroxide within the follicle, sodium hydroxide being very caustic, and it is that we harness to destroy the germinative cells within the follicle. Depending on your thickness or coarseness of hair will depend how much intensity of current we need. So I'll try to explain it by filling up a cup. So if you've got a cup, a small cup with just a small fine hair in it, we don't need as much to fill up that cup as we do a cup that's holding a much coarser hair. So if you think of filling a cup for a fine hair, you want your intensity fairly low, but to fill up the cup for a coarse hair, you want the intensity higher. You also want a longer delivery. To create sodium hydroxide, you really need a minimum of 5 to 6 seconds, and I really mean a minimum. It's more like to be 10 to 12 seconds delivery to create enough sodium hydroxide to destroy those cells. Now, if you've got a coarse hair, that delivery will have to be between 18 to 20 seconds. So you can see why true electrolysis, which is what this is, takes so long, and why as soon as diathermy became available, we as electrolysis prefer to use that method because it's much quicker delivery to get to the end result. But galvanic on its own is a very, very good treatment for people with very coarse or hair, twisted roots, very curly hair, or hair that just will not give up. Please do try Galvanic because it is so good, but it is very slow. So just to reiterate, you could have your settings on the timer.
So I'm going to move my timer. So
Yeah.
do I press the galvanic again to make sure?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm going on there. So we've got the flashing. So I'm going to go on the time. So
Yeah.
so I would go up to a minimum of, what did you say?
I would say 10 seconds.
All right, so I'm going up to
Mhm.
10. And then do I change the milliamps or do I leave
Yes,
that?
the milliamps. So let's work on a medium hair. You want to
Okay.
put your milliamps at around 0.5.
Okay. So I've got it set as 10 seconds at 0.5, and that would be about for a medium hair.
Medium hair to start. Now, if you'd tried that and the hair didn't come out without traction, I would increase your time to 15 seconds.
Okay, so then I would go up to 15 seconds. Oh, okay, so 15. Oh, I'm going up a bit high. Yep, so that's 15 seconds. Do the milliamps change?
I'd leave that initially at that.
Okay.
And then perhaps even go up if it still didn't come. You know, we're working on different follicles, not the same follicle each time.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
if it didn't come out at that, I'd try the 20 seconds. But remember, each time you're increasing your time, it's going to take longer for your overall treatment.
Yeah.
So if it still doesn't work at that, then I'd start putting your milliamps up slightly and then reducing your time. Again, toggling between the two until you find your working point.
And it is, and you did mention there, it is so important to remember that a galvanic current is caustic, and we really can only go once in the hair follicle for any galvanic treatment.
Yeah. Well, yes, I'm going to say once, but it won't hurt to do a second one.
All right.
if it's a very coarse, moist hair follicle, it would have enough moisture in there to do a second run, but certainly not in very fine hair. But actually, for very fine hair, you tend not to be in galvanic anyway.
Yeah. Well, sorry, was there something else you was going to say there, Mandy?
Yeah, just when you're working in galvanic, it is worth remembering that when you've treated a follicle and you've created that sodium hydroxide, you've got a very short time when the current stops flowing that sodium hydroxide is still sitting in that follicle and just doing a little bit of work. So when I work in this setting, I will treat several hairs, but I won't take them out straight away. I'll treat several hairs and then go back and take them out one by one.
Yes, I've heard of that. That's called treat and leave, isn't it? You treat it, leave it, and you go back. Yeah.
And people say, well, how do you know which hair you've treated? If you've left it long enough, you'll get a slight histamine reaction around the follicle that you've treated. So you'll get like a little nettle rash reaction. So you'll see very clearly which hair you've treated.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you ever so much. And well, I hope that makes it really nice and clear for everybody to set their machines up for galvanic. So thanks very much, and we'll speak again. Thanks, Mandy.
Okay, bye.